And now they're getting a little fancier. So for number 3, we see that f of x has 3 pieces. So we have 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 pieces. And the first piece, we have the domain restrictions of x is less than or equal to -1. And then we have the second piece between -1 and 1. So -1 less than x less than 1. X is between -1 and 1, not including -1 and 1. And for the third piece, we can see clearly that x is greater than or equal to 1. And so we have the 3 pieces. Now we just have to figure out, well, they're all lines, so we're going to figure out what the equations of these lines are. So you can see that the slope of this first piece, if this continued to go on forever, regardless, the slope is going to be 1, up 1 and over 1. If it hit the y-axis, where would it hit it? Well, we're up here at -1, 1. If we go up 1 and over 1, we're at 0, 2. So the slope, the y-intercept is 2, and therefore we have the equation y equals m, which is 1 times x plus 2, and that's the equation of the first piece. Y equals x plus 2. The second piece, we can see that the slope is again, it's just 1, up 1 and over 1, up 1 and over 1. So if the slope is 1, and the y-intercept we can see 1, 2, 3, and the y-intercept is 3, we have y equals slope is 1 plus the y-intercept, 1 times x plus 3. And then down here, this particular piece is, we can see again, slope. So the slopes of all of these are 1. You can see they're parallel as well. Up 1 and over 1, so the slope is 1, and the y-intercept, if you extended it, would hit right there at 1. So the y-intercept of 1, and we know that that is y equals mx plus b, 1 times x plus 1. And so that's it for number 3. Let's see if I can get another one in here. Again, we can see we have 1, 2, 3 pieces for number 4. So f of x equals, again, we want to identify our domain restrictions of, so we're going to put 3 commas there. The domain restrictions for this first piece, remember, now we have dots like we did in problem number 1, and we can, something's missing with this graph here, but we can see that we have, that's the y value, 1, 2, 3, 4. So anyway, the domain restrictions for the first piece would be x is less than, here's -2, and so we can see that the first piece ends at -2, and what I told you is the first piece, let that be the less than or equal to. Okay, and then we could see the second piece goes from -2 to +2, and we already used -2 as part of the domain restriction for the first piece, so we're going to let x be between -2 and +2, and we're going to let x is not going to be allowed to equal -2 on the left side, but again, when we first get to a dot, we're going to let the first piece that hits that dot get the equal to symbol. So we have x is in between -2 and +2, not including -2, but yes, including +2, and the other piece then would be the x is greater than 2. Could you have done it a different way? Sure, you could have done it like this. X is less than -2, x is then in between -2 and +2, including the endpoints, and then x is greater than 2. Could you have done it like this? X is less than or equal to -2, -2 less than x, less than 2, and then x is greater than or equal to 2? Yes, any one of these is fine, and you can just choose. It doesn't really matter. As long as you include an endpoint, but you can't include an endpoint twice. Now let's figure out what the slope of this one is. Here we've got a point there, and then we go up 1, 2, 3 and over 1, up to 1, 2, 3 and over 1. Okay, so this one here, we're going to have a little bit of trouble because it goes off the grid, but we at least identified that the slope is 3, and for this one over here, the slope is -3. We could see that. But if we extended this, maybe we can do this by counting. Up here we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, so we go up 1, 2, 3 and over 1. So that's at 7. So 7 over here, 7 high. And we go up 1, 2, 3 and over 1 more. That's going to be a 10. So if we extended the line, if we just counted, we could see that the y-intercept would be 10. And we could also just use a point on the line and the slope and then solve for y. And I'm not going to do that. If you wanted to see how to do that, you could see my my last video for the other worksheet. Okay, so I'm just counting, and it actually lands right there on an integer 10. So the y-intercept is 10. That means the first piece has the equation y equals slope, which is 3, times x, plus the y-intercept, which is 10. The second piece, 1, 2, 3, 4, is just 4. It's this horizontal line, so the y is equal to 4 in between -2 and 2. And then for the third piece, we already identified that the slope is -3. We go down 3 and over 1, down 3 and over 1. And if you count it up, 1, 2, 3, that would be 7. 1, 2, 3 more, that would be 10. And so the y-intercept for this one is 10 as well. So the equation for that piece would be the slope, which is -3, times x, plus the y-intercept, which is 10. And so there you have it.